Well, hey, happy hump day, everyone who is here in my live Facebook community and wherever you might be watching this from. I've got this streaming on about 7 different platforms right now because I'm really excited for this special bonus episode. I don't typically do bonus episodes very often, so that hopefully gets your attention, that this is a very special topic. It could literally, by listening to this today, you may have your mind opened. You may have what I call a life-altering thought that turns into a moment that could change you forever. And so I want to thank my guest, Timon, today, all the way from Europe. So it's actually, maybe you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening. We have people from Pakistan, India. My group is vast. So that's another reason why I wanted to go a little earlier with you today, because we have people all over the world that could benefit from this message. And if you're watching this on the replay, make sure you join us inside of the Healthy and Wealthy and Wise Facebook community. And today we're talking about the power of masterminds. I'm just going to dive right in because we have so much valuable content. Why are we having this call today? Why did I want to have a special episode? So last year in 2020, it was obviously life-changing for all of us. And one of the best decisions that I actually had created already at the end of 2019 was I signed up, I paid $5,000 to be part of a mastermind. And I hadn't been part of one for over, 13 years, maybe. And so I was used to referral marketing, networking groups, face-to-face, belly-to-belly. But when I actually paid money and I flew to Northern California to meet in person with this group of people, my mastermind group, I was blown away, and I had a life-changing, life-altering awakening in that mastermind. Because a mastermind, as I shared in my podcast on Monday, the coordination of knowledge and effort of 2 or more people who work toward a definite purpose in the spirit of harmony, then anything, literally anything, is possible. And that was a quote from Napoleon Hill himself, who wrote about masterminds in his book, Think and Grow Rich. And wherever 2 or 3 or more people are gathered, magic can happen. And that's what is so eloquently stated in what this formula here that I have on the screen right now. If you can't see it, it says 1 + 1 = 11. And you're like, wait a minute, I thought 1 + 1 = 2, Lois. What are you smoking? What are you talking about? And that's what we're talking about today in this conversation with the power of masterminds. So as always, if you're tuning in live, go ahead and comment below, #live, where you're tuning in from. And of course, #replay. I'd love to give you a shout out here during the show. And then of course, if you see value, hit the share button. And if you're here live and on the replay too, but live even better, you get to ask our guests questions today. So if you have questions, please comment below. But I want to stop, and I just wanted to share all of that to kind of lead into what we're going to talk about today. Timon, why don't you tell us where you're from? How'd you get into this masterminding? What's your story? What's your journey with all this?
Okay, yeah, thank you. And very excited to be here and talk about this special broadcast nonetheless. So my story. So basically, I've been working in corporate world for quite a while, and only a couple of years back, I think 5 years back, I started my own business. And when I started out, I was an expert in a certain area, but now I needed to build a business around it. And I've been doing that for myself for a while and was getting so results. And at a certain point, I said, well, I no longer want to do this by myself. I want to see if I can team up with people and basically to help and share and support each other. And that's when I ran across Get It Together, where I'm currently the CEO of. And basically, they had, at that point in time when I first met them, they were actually offering masterminds themselves. I had been in mastermind prior to that, but they were kind of the unofficial and just basically a group of people that volunteered to say, hey, let's do a mastermind together. But it was not like what you did, an official paid mastermind. So I had some experience with masterminds, But what I liked about Get It Together, and I still like about Get It Together, is that they have a very structured and disciplined, or not disciplined, but proceduralized approach to the mastermind. And that really elevates the value of a mastermind. So when I actually started participating, I first joined as an area developer for the Netherlands. So I wasn't the CEO right away. I first joined for the Netherlands specifically. And so then we also did masterminds within our own team. And I was really, and that's when I really was blown away by the process and the system of Get It Together. I mean, I bought into it before I actually experienced it, but when I was actually experiencing it, like, well, this is really amazing. And so yeah, still that's kind of how I ran it. Well, I'm kind of now in a position where I'm selling masterminds and participating in them and running them, and yeah, I love them. Yeah, it's just and I think a lot of what you just said is spot on. It's one of our participants. He always talks about the power of the group mind, and that's basically what it is. You tap into experiences of other people, knowledge, but yeah, well, at least in the way that you typically also have hot seats on a mastermind, and if you do that right, it's not like you get the clear-cut answers that people already know, but everybody is kind of forced to be creative. So even you get to new ideas that and none of the participants would get that idea by themselves. It's just because you're building on each other's ideas, and because you're brainstorming and throwing out crazy things and stupid things and fantastic things, and in the end you have like, well, this one idea, and that's, well, wow, this is really amazing. That one idea can transform your business or a life or whatever the mastermind is about. Yeah.
That's so awesome. Yeah, I have to give a shout out. And just so you know, Timon, these guys are in Minnesota. So I have a huge following in Minnesota, and we're going to talk later about the new Get It Together Masterminds in Minnesota. So we got Sean Waite here. He loves new math. So 1 + 1 = 11. That's right. Travis Sims. He's one of my brothers from another mother, a longtime friend, and we actually met through networking. And so I want to share one more thing, but then I want you to go into maybe even a deeper dive as to what's the difference between, like, say, a networking meeting structure and a mastermind meeting structure. Would that be an okay question for you to touch on? Okay, sure. Cool. But first, I want to tell you guys, I came from a networking culture. When I had lived in California before, I had heard of masterminds. I visited a couple, and it was so powerful, but I just it was so foreign to me. So another reason why I want to bring it to your consciousness. And when I finally got into a mastermind last year, coming from a networking group culture, my mindset was, well, you just go to networking meetings, you pass business cards, you shake hands, kiss babies, you share referrals. That's going to grow your business, right? It's going to make you some money. And it did really well for me. However, I never went to a networking meeting and had a life-altering moment. So when I went to that first mastermind meeting last year with the group that I was in at that time, they helped me unpack some limiting beliefs. It almost, I mean, not to sound woo-woo or weird, but everyone knows I'm kind of woo-woo and weird, so it's okay. But they almost expect it. But I really felt like it was almost like a therapy session. Like, they helped me see things. They held up a mirror to my face that I was so blind to. And they helped me see my blind spots. And it was in that moment, I actually started crying. It was in that moment that I had a breakthrough. And I would say that most masterminds are there to help you break through and go beyond and link your arms together with people who are cheering you on in a way that you'll never get, in my experience. Again, okay, just putting it out there that everybody has their own journey, but in a networking group, I didn't really have that experience. You know, it wasn't that way for me. And then I found you guys, and I finished that mastermind last year. Now I'm in a mastermind with people who are elevating my game, including yourself, 7, 8, 9-figure income earners. I was never in a group like that before. this year, and I've already catapulted my income, building from what I had learned through that breakthrough experience with that first mastermind for 12 months. And most of the time, masterminds are longer term commitments as well. I was just like, it just poured rocket fuel on my dreams, my goals, my hopes, but first and foremost, my spirit. It really helped break through, and I had a head and a heart connection. And I just want to say that that's what I experienced, the difference between networking groups and a mastermind. But I'm going to let you kind of also share what you teach and what you have seen the differences are.
Oh, actually, it touches. I agree with it so fully. I mean, I've been in sessions as a participant, and I've seen participants and myself being touched to tears, or like you said, by the support that they're getting, by the insights that they're getting from the other people in the masterminds. And I think a key thing to that is, and that's also how we offer it, is that, or that how we actually select our clients. So it's really important that if you have a mastermind, that you have a group of people where you can actually let your shield down, and where you can actually be completely open, and where there is no judgment, and where you can really share what you want to share without being called up on it or anything. And so in that sense, and that ties into the fact that if you want to look for those people, that means that you can't sell it to just anybody, because you need to make sure that they are a good fit with the group and with a good fit with the other people. And so it ties into how you're selling it, how you're promoting it, how you're marketing it, if you want to make a business around it. But talking about the masterminds themselves, it's just it is a support, and that's part of it. So I mean, you have like the business part and generating ideas and growing your revenue, but a lot of times we sort of kind of know what we should be doing, but for whatever reason we're not actually doing it. And if you have a group of people that is cheering you on and supporting you, and sometimes doing practical support, like if you don't know how to do a page, maybe one of the members can help you do a page, whatever it could be. And when you have the right kind of people, they you see that they do meet each other outside of the mastermind, means that they do have separate goals. They do separate joint ventures. They do separate offers outside of the mastermind. So when you have that close-knit group, like I said, of the right-minded people, then all kinds of very interesting and very great things start to happen.
Yeah, you come together with a common purpose that Napoleon Hill talked about, that definite of purpose. And if you guys are just joining us, I just want to remind you, we're talking about masterminds, and you're coordinating knowledge, and I would call it, again, because I am weird and I love talking about consciousness. You know, it's basically a collective consciousness is what it is, and these people are coming together. And when you're in it to win it, as I like to say, anything is possible. And now I will have to say, and I want you to, this is kind of segueing to your question. Sean Waite has a question. I would say, like you said, masterminds have still different flavors, different purposes. It seems to be now, maybe it's because I'm aware of it, I see masterminds everywhere, and I'm seeing very different formats, very different price points. And yep. Sean Waite here is talking about, I seem to see many masterminds that feel more like group coaching with a central person giving guidance. I've always thought of masterminds as more peer-to-peer accumulation of knowledge and thoughts. What are your thoughts, Timon, on the differences? And that might be a good segue to explain what you guys do with Get It Together and what other things that you have seen.
Okay, yeah, so I totally agree with that, and in that sense, you start seeing more and more people that label something a mastermind, but according to my definition, it's not really a mastermind. And you're right. Some are, we call them the guru mastermind. So basically, you're in a mastermind, but it's led by a guru or a leader or a teacher, and he's basically doing all the communication. And yeah, I would personally call that group coaching. Yes, that's not a mastermind. So when I'm describing a mastermind, yes, it's a group of people But if you paid for a mastermind, it should be facilitated by someone that's outside of the group, someone that is not participating actually in the actual brainstorming or in the actual conversations that are happening, but they are really there to facilitate the masterminds themselves. That's how we also set it up. A second thing that we really do is, and I kind of mentioned it earlier, we have a very clear structure. So our mastermind sessions, they are 3 hour long, but we have an agenda for almost by the minute of how those 3 hours is going to happen. Because a lot of times what happens in masterminds is that you kind of go off topic, and you have a great conversation, and you learn more about each other, whatever it is. But it wasn't really why you were there in the mastermind. So at the end of the mastermind, you didn't really get the maximum amount of value out of the time that you invested in the mastermind. So we kind of jokingly say, well, if you want to do chit chat, then make a separate meeting afterwards or before or whatever, but not in the mastermind. The mastermind is the mastermind. So that's really the role of the facilitator, to make sure that the agenda is being followed and that we're still talking about the matter at hand. Another big element that we included in our mastermind is that most masterminds, if they have like a hot seat, and some masterminds, they in our opinion, they make the mistake of assigning time for each person in the mastermind. So that means if you have, let's say just as an example, if in our mastermind you have 6 people, then you have 10 minutes a person. And then every person gets 10 minutes of the time, and you brainstorming or whatever it is on those 10 minutes. But actually, a lot of time when you do brainstorming, the initial couple of minutes, you first need a couple of minutes to actually stage the question or stage what the problem is that they want to have solved. So that basically leaves 5-6 minutes to actually do brainstorming. And when you do that short amount of brainstorming, you typically you kind of get the cookie cutter answers, because those are the first answers that come up with people. You don't really get the creative answers. So what we do, even though we have 3 hours, we only have 2 hot seats in the entire masterclass. But these hot seats, they are a half an hour long each. And that really allows us to really dive deep and become creative and come up with new ways. And then once that's done, we always go around the room and we ask each participant, and we remind them beforehand, think about, how does this apply to me? And I think you, Lois, you heard this question as well in the mastermind you're joining. How does this apply to me? So yes, we've been brainstorming about the problem that the other person had, but a lot of times we have very similar problems, or problems or challenges, however you want to call it. So if you consciously ask yourself, how does this apply to me, all the time, when you're brainstorming and doing things for someone else, you always write insights and ideas for your own business as well, and so you still win, even though you might not be in the hot seat.
Love that.
Yeah,
that's awesome. And just really quickly, so Sean, I hope that answered your question. If you need any further, please comment below, guys, with your questions. We only got about another 10 minutes before we're going to wrap it up. Just wanted to kind of give you a taste of what's possible. And the one thing that I had also mentioned, because again, this has been my background for several years, was networking groups where you met weekly. And I know you guys meet, is it twice a month for 3 hours, or is it once? Okay.
Twice a month.
So you're really invested. And I was kind of in the back of my head, because I'm so used to doing business by word of mouth and referral. 2020 really radically changed that for me, is how can I get more business in less time? And that's where, with the mastermind, what I discovered was, here I was aligning myself with very high-minded, higher consciousness raised people who actually had already a lot of influence. I've only been in this mastermind with you guys since the beginning of the year, and I've already been on summit stages, speaking, building my list. I've already been on podcasts. I've actually had, now most of my podcast guests for the next several weeks are, not surprised, major players in our mastermind group who have massive influence. So we're coming together, that 1 + 1 = 11. Not only did that catapult my income, because my mindset has been raised, but I'm getting a lot more leads, a lot more referrals that that are qualified. So it was almost like, even though you're not a networking group, right? That's not the purpose necessarily. My business and my list has grown much bigger, much faster. Do you see that happening a lot within your mastermind, and is that a common thing, or is that just me?
Yeah, no, you see that more often, but it also, and this is something that I don't know if you touch upon it, but the mastermind that you joined had a very specific name, and I don't know if you want to share it, but
Sure.
so it's the Strategic Alliance Mastermind. So the entire purpose of the mastermind is to find joint venture partners, to find strategic alliances, and to elevate your thinking about that subject. So it's not like a general you can talk about anything you want kind of mastermind. And so that's and to be honest, the mastermind that you joined is a mastermind where you already need to have a kind of quite a bit of an established business before you can really get the full benefits from it. Because for example, if you don't have a very good offer yet, then it's great that you're trying to find strategic alliances, but what are they going to promote you, or what are you going to build a joint venture around? The Together Mastermind that I also mentioned, that's really, I wouldn't say necessarily entry level, because it's still a steep price point, and it's still very for very ambitious entrepreneurs. But it deals more with the more generalized about building your offer, getting your marketing up to speed, and building your business systems, etc. So it's a little bit more broader, which means you get a different audience, different level of people. But yeah, it all depends on where you are at your business. So whether it's our mastermind or any, I would also look for, does the mastermind have a specific topic or an agenda that fits what you're looking for at that point in time? Not just join any mastermind because there is a mastermind, but what are they going to help you with, basically?
100%. Yeah, I was inspired. Now I have my own mastermind that I've launched that's very specific. Very specific. It's almost like mastermind meets group coaching, but a very specific end result. And so that's what you want, right? And a mastermind is, you got to be creating something. It's not just a coffee clutch, lunch bunch type of a thing. And there's a question here. I'll get to that one really quick. But do you see most masterminds, are they 12 months in duration? Is there a standard like 6 months?
I wouldn't necessarily say there is a standard, but I would actually advise people to go for a longer time period, because the longer you know someone, the closer you become. So if you're in the same group of people, and of course you always have changes in the group, but if you're in with same people in a longer period of time in the group, you get to know each other. So whenever you're in the hot seat, they already know kind of where you're at. So it becomes easier for them to come up with ideas to help you move forward.
Yeah, that's awesome. Cool. So the question was, and then I'll answer it, and then I want you to answer it, is how do you find a mastermind? I've been reading Think and Grow Rich and doing the workbook. I've been looking for a mastermind that would be good for me and my business. For me, I was first of all ready, and my coach offered me a mastermind. So I jumped on it. And then I started studying masterminds. So this one I'm in now, which, oh, by the way, if anybody has any questions about it, please ask me about the one that I'm in. But there's so many great options out there. I put it in my consciousness, right? And then all of a sudden, the Strategic Alliance event came into my universe, and I was ready, right? The teacher appears, right, when the student's ready, so to speak. And so the fact that you're asking that question, the fact that you're putting it out there, you can manifest it. I would ask for referrals. Timon's going to be talking about his mastermind here at the end, which I'll provide a link to. But how else do people find masterminds, Timon?
To be truly honest, I don't really know how you could. I mean, it comes. You basically stumble upon it. I think basically what you described as well. I don't know of any directory or anything that you can look at, or I mean, if you do a Google search, you probably get too many answers to really make a good decision. So I think with the tips that you gave is really spot on. You just ask around in your network if someone is already in a mastermind that they really like, and I think that would be a very good start. And again, keep in mind to try to come up with what it is that you want to achieve with the mastermind, and try to find a mastermind that fits with those goals.
100%. Yeah. And there was a follow-up question. How do you know the group is good for you? Well, first of all, and maybe we can start transitioning into talking about the Get It Together is now in Minnesota. I know you're in other parts of the world, but how I knew that when I, in some ways, again, it might sound esoteric, but I chose the mastermind just as much as the mastermind chose me. I was ready. And it felt right. And I listened to my intuition and I signed up for that first one because I knew the leader of the mastermind. We already had trust and rapport. I think that's a huge thing. The current mastermind I'm in now, I attended a virtual summit, which, oh, by the way, there's going to be another one in June. So if you guys want to come and learn about that one, get with me and I'll get you the information about that as well. But I studied it. I looked at it. I read the website. And it was essentially a referral from one of the podcasts that I listened to, Matt McWilliams, and I trusted him and his guidance. And so I was like, well, if he's endorsing this, I'm going to check it out. And then I interviewed. I had to apply. A lot of masterminds, you don't just get in because you have a pulse and you can fog a mirror and you can pay.
Yeah, which is actually critical that they do that. As we described for having a good group.
And so actually, anyway,
that's a good warning. If they let you in just because you pay, you shouldn't actually join them.
That's awesome. Hey, we got to give a shout out to Brian Kelly. I invited him to the summit and he's been just blowing it up. And having amazing joint venture alliances since then. So Brian's a testimony, guys. If you want to check out the next summit, which is how I got into my actual mastermind that I'm in, contact me, and I'll invite you to the next summit in June. But there are different people. Kathy Pop says there's mastermind directories, which is a great tip. I always think it's about referrals and making sure there's someone connected to it that you can interview and that they have created results with other attendees as well. Cool. Well, let's talk about, how do people connect? I know I'll share with people a link about the, Get It Together Mastermind that's launched in Minnesota. So we have a lot of people on here from Minnesota, but we have people from all over the world in here, Timon. So tell a little bit more or anything else you haven't shared about your mastermind, and I'll make sure people get access to your link. Anything else we haven't talked about?
Well, there's so much I can't share it in the few last minutes, but to give a very brief overview of our masterminds, one of the things that we do is we have mastermind, which is a very big element of what we do, but we also help people with training, with coaching, and we actually do a build for them funnel to sell their high ticket offers. And we even help them create a high ticket offer if they're not yet entirely there. So that's really in a nutshell. So in our case, we wanted to frame the mastermind around something. So that framing is around the high ticket offer, around the lead generation machine, as we call it, that we built for you to sell that high ticket offer. And that gives a lot of the people in there, again, a commonality and a kind of same structure within their business that they can bring to the mastermind as well. Like you said, the masterminds themselves are twice monthly, 3 hours in depth. Currently, we are virtually due to the apparent reasons everybody's aware of. But the goal is, like you said, if we're in Minnesota, the goal is that once we can actually go back to physical meetings. So you meet twice a month in person with people that are in your area. And again, it's going to be facilitated by a professional from our team to ensure that the mastermind is valuable for everybody. Yeah.
Love it. I love it. Well, guys, you heard it here. We just have I have one more question for you, Timon, and a couple of quick announcements. If you saw value, first of all, if you saw value in this, hit the share button, send it out to people you know who are just maybe missing the mark. Maybe there's something in their business that they just can't figure out, and they want and deserve to have that sounding board, that team of like-minded, higher consciousness raised people who are there to help them get to that next level, especially when it comes to high ticket offers. That's one of the things that I've been able to create, and that massively changed my mindset and my income. And if you want to get in touch with Timon about his mastermind, email me, especially if you're in Minnesota, because I know you guys are just getting it kicked off over there. Email me, Lois at loiskofi.com. I am going to get a link to put in the show notes. This was so short notice scheduled. I wanted to get Timon in, and his schedule is packed, as is mine. So it was great to get you here. We'll share that link in the show notes, but you can also email me, and I will send you an introduction to Timon, a personal, as I like to call them, profitable introduction. So you don't just go to a website. You're actually going to get a connection with someone who I interviewed with Timon, and that was actually the point that helped me decide I want to be in Mastermind that I'm in. Yeah. So anything else that you wanted to share about what I just said?
No, that's just amazing. So yeah, really good. Thanks.
Awesome. And speaking of, he talked about lead generating machines. I have re-releasing my lead generating class 5-day challenge. If you want to generate 100 plus leads in the next week to kick off Q2 and kick off and rocket launch the beginning of, the rest of your lead generating life. As you guys know, that's what I'm passionate about, and what I've really, refined and honed and gotten even better at because of the power of the mastermind. Go ahead and sign up for my free challenge. It is valued at $500 and will be sold, and the content is only up for a certain period of time. So March 29th through April 2nd, it's 1 hour a day that will transform your mindset and generate those 100, maybe even 200 leads. Please sign up for that today so I can get you the information so you can have those paradigm shifts and learn actually some of the stuff that I'm learning through the mastermind. So I always like to close with the same question, because the title of my podcast was really actually a product of the mastermind group that I was in last year. What did I want to share? What did I want to speak my truth through? And I know that the title would mean a lot and attract the right people. And so healthy and wealthy and wise has a lot of meaning to me, but I would love to hear from you, Timon. When you hear that phrase, healthy and wealthy and wise, what does it mean to you?
Yeah, that's a really interesting question. So I think in what comes up with you right away is that you can't have one without the other. So you need to be healthy to be able to build wealth. You can be wealthy, but if you don't have health, then it doesn't really matter that much. And being wise, yeah, I don't like to pat myself on the back, but I've been called wise beyond my age, and I think that's something that I really cherish. Is that, yeah, I mean, wise for me means you're a thoughtful person. You're not judgmental, and you really think about things that you say and think about it. So a wise person, especially in modern world, can easily become healthy and wealthy, I think. So, yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I love it. I love hearing and learning from my guests. So thank you so much for tuning in, everyone. Again, please share this message with other people in your community. And on Friday, we're going to be having a really cool guest, my friend Terry Wildeman, at 10 a.m. Pacific every Friday. I do this amazing live show. Today was a bonus. But Friday, Terry and I are going to be talking about tapping into and developing your intuition as a leader and as a salesperson, entrepreneur, business owner. So look forward to seeing you guys on Friday. Until next time, here's to your best health, your best wealth, and your best wisdom. Bye, guys.
Okay.